special to close out this Halloween series that I have created over the past month, the month of October. And you are all probably getting sick of these videos, which is understandable because there's been a lot of them. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Because I have a lot of great videos planned for the next few weeks that are totally normal. Completely normal. No more Halloween after tonight. And I'm excited about them. There were some requests that I'm excited to fulfill. And you guys can keep a lookout for those. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. But for tonight, I thought I would create a video about my experience in the Lizzie Borden house. Lizzie Borden house. Lizzie Borden house. House. Now, if you don't know who Lizzie Borden is, that's okay. I'm going to give you a little overview of what happened with her and her family. But it's going to be a very brief overview, simply because I could talk about this case for hours. It's inconclusive, it's complicated, it's very, very suspicious. And truth be told, no one really knows what happened that night. So, I'm not here to drop any crazy conspiracy theories. I'm just going to give a brief overview that I have pulled up here on my computer. And then I'll talk a little bit about what it was like to walk through her house and go on a tour, which I did this past weekend. It was a socially distant tour. Now, I'm sorry it's taking me so long to jump in. I'm just in a very relaxed mood, so these whispers will be slow. I have this little brush here for emphasis. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. With me, I have this cup. Halloween cup. It says, "Pick your poison." And it is a cranberry juice mixed with lime seltzer. It's quite good. And yeah, I think let's just get started with the video. I have some photos from the tour that I'll probably pop into this video. I'm not sure where yet because I haven't made the video yet. But wherever it seems appropriate, I will just plop them in. And you can see what the inside of the house looked like. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. I will now give a very brief overview of Lizzie Borden's story. Okay, so on August 4th, 1892, 1892, Lizzie Borden took an axe. Andrew and Abby Borden, elderly residents of Fall River, Massachusetts, are found bludgeoned to death in their home. Lying in a pool of blood on the living room couch, Andrew's face had been nearly split in two. Abby, Lizzie's stepmother, was found upstairs with her head smashed into pieces. Sorry, I should have warned you, this is a little graphic. But you probably know who she is, so it's to be expected, and this is a Halloween video. So, the Bordens, who were considerably wealthy, lived with their two unmarried daughters, Emma and Lizzie. Since Lizzie was the only other person besides the housekeeper who was present when she was wearing on the day of the murders and had purchased a small axe the day before. But Lizzie was a sweet-looking Christian woman, and the jury took only 90 minutes to decide that she could never commit such a heinous crime. Alright, I have to scroll now. Okay. Although she was now an orphaned heiress rather than a convicted murderess, the media continued to portray Lizzie as the perpetrator. Her story is still remembered today, mostly because of the infamous rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. I'm going to say that one more time. One more time. One more time. Okay. Lizzie Borden took an axe, and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 1. Now, that rhyme isn't accurate. It was actually closer to, I think, 18 for the mother and 11 for the father, which is still a lot. But this rhyme just became a sensationalized sort of statement that was really popular in newspapers. So that's where you hear the rhyme from. It's not accurate, though. Ignoring the taunts, Lizzie lived the high life until her death in 1927. She was buried in the family plot next to her parents. So, that is the quick overview of Lizzie Borden and her murder trial and the death of her father and stepmother, Andrew and Abby Borden. Now, I had the joy of going on a socially distant walking tour at the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts. I went this past weekend, and the tour was about an hour, and I learned so much. But it was clear there was still so much to learn and so much to know, which is why I say it's not possible for me to cover everything that went on. It would take too long, and you would get so bored with this video, probably. But if you guys are ever interested in any sort of true crime video, where I do cover the specifics and the details of a particular crime, I could do that. But I'm not going to unless you guys actually want it, because it would take a lot of effort and preparation on my part. You know what I mean? But if you guys want that, I would be more than happy to accommodate. So, anyways, I went on this tour on a Saturday, and it was early in the morning, early afternoon, actually, and the house itself is beautiful, absolutely beautiful and charming, and large. Now, you would drive by it today and say, oh, that's a decent size. But given the fact that this home was built in the 1800s, that's how you know it was truly a large home. And in fact, the Bordens were very wealthy. So, that's why they had such a nice house. I mean, to me, it's large even to my standards, but I digress. I'm getting off track. So, it's a beautiful beautiful shade of olive green, and the shutters are black. I'm assuming that probably wasn't the case back then, though I don't know. The house itself is very much structurally similar to the way it was in the past, but I don't know so much about the colors and the smaller decor items and things like that. But as we walked around the house, we saw a cute little black cat who apparently just protects the home. I don't know. There's pictures of him all over the place, and I think he's about 20 years old, which is pretty old for a cat. But he's very cute. I'll try to share a picture of him as well. So when we first entered the house, I don't know how to explain it. I thought I would be terrified, but I wasn't. But you definitely felt an energy, I would say. Maybe just because you go in knowing what happened there, and maybe that's why, but I don't know. There's definitely something special about walking in there, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I had something to fear at the same time, so I don't know. I'll just put that out there. But we walked into this lovely little living room area, seating area, more formal than a traditional living room. I think a lot of people have those in their homes, but I never did. But we sat in there and we were introduced to the home and part of what had happened, and through each room we learned something new and uncovered a new piece of information about the case. As I read, Lizzie Borden was a main suspect, and I agreed that she was definitely involved in some way. There's no doubt about that, but personally, I believe that everybody, aside from the two people who were killed, had some type of involvement. It doesn't make sense otherwise. And as we read, it wasn't just Lizzie Borden. There was also Emma, her sister. There was the housekeeper, whose name was Bridget, but they all called her Maggie because that was their old housekeeper's name, and they didn't want to learn a new name. I don't know, 1800s were different, I guess. And there was also an uncle whose name it escapes me, but there was an uncle who was present at the time as well. He was in town staying at the home. So there's just a lot of suspicious activity, and I definitely agree that Lizzie Borden played a large role in it, though I don't know if she was the one who actually committed these crimes on her own. And I find it so interesting that she was acquitted so quickly, less than 90 minutes, proven not guilty. And the jury, which was of course all white men at the time, that probably played a role in it, in the way that men and women were perceived at the time. This concept of, oh, a woman like her could never do something so terrible. That could be part of it. But the jury presented her, Lizzie Borden, with a photo of the jury, and it was framed, and basically they were like, here you go. We wanted you to have this. Like, it was weird. They almost glamorized her in some way, and I don't know, just weird all around. But again, it was a different time, so who's to say? Who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know. Not me. I wasn't there. So anyways, we got to see every part of the house. The next room we went into was the living room, where people clearly hang out, not the formal, like, oh, we sit here for, I was such a strange feeling to learn about that, and again, very suspicious. The details just don't add up, but again, it's a lot to get into. So anyways, the tour guide we had was absolutely amazing. She was really good at bringing all of these scenes together. It felt like you were there. She just had such a way of describing. So it felt like you weren't missing a thing. Truly wonderful lady. Really loved her. I would share her name to like publicize her a little bit, but I don't know if that's a weird thing to do, so I'm just gonna leave it private. But if you do ever go on a tour of this house, hopefully you'll have her. I'm sure you probably will. I don't know how many tour guides they have, but anyway. So we saw the scene where this murder took place. She had photos, the photos were gruesome, really bad. You can imagine that being bludgeoned with a hatchet 11 times. That's not gonna look very good. That's a rough scene to walk in on, for sure. For sure. So anyways, we go through all of the different rooms of the house, and then we go upstairs to the bedroom. Sorry, my camera battery just died. Or perhaps it was a ghost. No, it was definitely my camera battery, but I'm back now. It also sounds like my lovely, charming, amazing, incredible neighbors are arguing. So if you can hear that, I am ever so sorry. Just chalk it up to background noise in this big, beautiful, lovely city of New York. Anyways, so we get upstairs, and we go into the room that Abby Borden was bludgeoned in. And apparently that is the room that is requested the most. Now, the Borden house is also a bed and breakfast, if you can believe it. So, lots of people pay a good amount of money to sleep there overnight. You can also rent out the entire house if you want to. That's extreme, even for me. And there have been a lot of early, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm thinking of the word dismissal, which is not the right word, but there are a lot of people who end up leaving early because they get so freaked out being there overnight. I would too. I would not want to stay in that room. But yeah, it's the one that's the most highly requested, which is weird because you also see this photo of how this woman was killed, just laying on the floor. It's not pleasant. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, though. Whatever floats your boat, I'm not gonna judge. So we learned about that incident, and then we got to see the other bedrooms, Lizzie and Emma. And in order to access the father's bedroom and Abby's bedroom, you had to go through a different part of the house. I don't know why it was built in such a way, but nonetheless it was. But yeah, Abby was killed in a guest room. At the time, she was cleaning up a guest room for the uncle because the housekeeper wasn't allowed up on their sleeping floor, because they believed that she would steal, and they were impartial to Irish immigrants at the time, and she was Irish, so again, 1800s. But anyways, we did get to see and most people left early, which is suspicious because you would think it would be in one of the rooms where someone was killed. But, another scary story. Apparently, one house over from the Borden house, one house over, there was a mother who suffered from postpartum depression, and I believe she had three children that she pushed down a well. And they obviously perished, unfortunately. Sorry to be so blunt about that. There's just no good way to share the information. Halloween video. And apparently, numerous guests have reported hearing children's laughter, hearing footsteps running up and down the hall all night, and finding weird little toys and things in places they shouldn't be. And they believe it's the children from one door over. So, interestingly enough, it would have nothing to do with anything that happened at the Borden house. Interesting. And then, after that, we saw the kitchen, and I think that was pretty much it. Like I said, the tour was about an hour. And it's interesting, a point that the tour guide, kept bringing up was that they were very wealthy, and at the time, electricity and plumbing and all of those sort of commonplace utilities were available. But Andrew Borden was very cheap, and he elected to not have any of those things. So they had a very old-fashioned outhouse in the backyard. They used gas lamps for their light. And this made Emma and Lizzie very angry. And they also hated living in Fall River. They were socialites, and they wanted to live where all of the cool cats lived, which was not Fall River, but Fall River is where Andrew, the father, had all of his business clients. Something else you might want to know about Andrew Borden is that he was not a nice man. There are lots of reports of people saying that he was kind of totally awful. And he had a lot of enemies. So that plays a role as well. He was unliked by a lot of people, including his children, clearly. But that sort of adds another layer of plot to this case, is that there are a lot of people who probably didn't want him around anymore, which of course includes all of the people in that house with him. Probably not Abby, but she wasn't liked either. She was perceived as this evil stepmom who came in and started just causing problems with the family. Who knows if that's true, but that's what I've learned. So, it leaves a lot of questions. I'm intrigued to do more research. I probably will, because it just goes so much deeper than what I'm talking about here today. It's not clear-cut in any way. But it was really interesting to learn about. Now, just because Lizzie Borden was acquitted and proven to be innocent, that doesn't mean that things went well for her after that. In fact, she was completely ostracized from the community, and everyone hated her. Like, super hated her. Which is so interesting to me, because she was awesome. All of these things aside, like, and again, I'm not saying that she did it. I'm not saying she didn't. I can't make any kind of was the case both before and after the murders. So her lifestyle didn't change in that way, if that makes sense. But she was a huge, huge philanthropist and activist. Of course, she comes from a wealthy family. She had money. And she was an activist. She spoke loudly and publicly about women's rights and women's suffrage, immigration reform, and animal rights, to name a few. And that's a lot for a person to do today. She did this in the mid-1800s. I mean, obviously that's probably why people hated her too. She was outspoken. She didn't really care what people thought. She was also considered a spinster because she was unmarried. A lot of people theorize that she may have been a lesbian and had relationships in secret with women, but I don't think that was ever proven. She just was never married. So, of course, if you're not married back at that time, it's assumed that there's something wrong with you. And it's funny because during the time of the murders, she was in her 20s, her mid-20s, maybe early 30s, but I think mid-20s. And she was referred to as a spinster, which was not a nice word, not something nice to be called at the time. And it's just funny because I'm in my mid-20s, so I guess I'm a spinster too. But yeah, so people just really hated her. And she also loved the theater and spent a lot of time with theater people, which was hugely frowned upon at the time. People who were a part of the theater were looked down upon. Like, the way this tour guide explained it is that they were looked down on as if you were like a drug addict, which is not fair either. I don't think we should be looking down on people who struggle with addiction, but you understand her point where people just perceive you as less than, or sort of a lost cause, or sort of a we're not in the same world kind of thing. So, but thinking of all of those things today, I'm like, dang, she was cool. Loved animals, had animals her entire life, and there were lots of reports from other people that she was just a very charitable woman. So she treated her housekeepers very well. She would often give them money if they needed help, because a lot of these housekeepers were generally immigrants that came and had nothing, right? They were live-in housekeepers, had no money. So she would help them, and she would basically help anyone, is what it sounded like. Except maybe potentially her father and stepmother. I don't know, maybe. But another interesting thing while I'm talking about housekeepers is that during the hearings, the court hearings, Bridget, the housekeeper at the time, talked very highly of the Bordens. She loved them. There was nothing wrong. She didn't see anything, which is very interesting because she was the only one who was at the house the entire time. Aside from Lizzie, Emma was away. The uncle was out running errands. So, interesting. The claim at the time was that somebody came in, that there was some evil person who came in and committed these crimes. Yet somehow Bridget didn't see anything. And she was downstairs cleaning the windows. Yet had no idea what happened. And what's more interesting is that right after this case, Bridget disappeared, and she wasn't found until years later. And when she was found, she was living on a farm that she bought in Montana. Now, if you are an Irish immigrant coming from nothing, living in this home where you are a housekeeper, you do not have money to buy a farm in Montana. How do you even get to Montana? So clearly, another suspicious fact it's assumed that the Bordens paid her off to stay quiet and to disappear. And that's what she did. She got very ill at one point in her life, thought she was going to die, and she summoned one of her friends, a close friend, and said that she had something she had to get off her chest. I wonder what that was. But by the time her friend arrived, she was starting to heal and recover, and it was made clear she wasn't actually going to die. And she was basically like, never mind, I don't have anything to tell you. So, who knows what she could have unfolded about this case. A lot of evidence was thrown away at the time because the case was handled poorly, or because just of the way things were in the 1800s. But there are just so many things like that that make it particularly intriguing. Who's to say? Not I. So that was the door. And Fall River itself, not much going on. I know she was buried in Fall River with her family, but I did not go to the cemetery. I just went to the house. So yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. And like I said, I'm going to do more research on it. But I recently watched Lizzie, which is a newer movie that stars Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart plays Bridget, the housekeeper. And forgive me, but I do not know the name of the main character who plays Lizzie, but she does an incredible job. Like, she is a fantastic Lizzie. And most things that happen in the movie, okay, I shouldn't say most, a lot of the things that happen in that movie are historically accurate. I learned them on the tour as well. But of course there are pieces that are fabricated, and the movie does take a bias. And the movie goes in the direction that Lizzie is the killer, and Bridget helps her, which I think is a very feasible thing that could have happened. But again, we don't know for sure. It's just the way the story is told, and I think it's very compelling, and I highly recommend it. It is a bit of a slow burn, but I thought it was really good. Highly recommend it, and it will give you a little bit more insight. And what's so interesting, though, is that even though this story paints Lizzie as the murderer and Bridget as also the co-conspirator, it feels like totally justified. And it kind of goes back to this fact that, like, Andrew Borden was really a terrible guy. I'm not saying murder is justified. That's coming out kind of weird, but when you watch this story, you can't help but love Lizzie because she, like, just has such a good heart. And I don't know. You have to watch the movie for yourself. Maybe you'll have a different opinion on it. But she's definitely very much an anti-hero in this story, and so is Bridget. You really enjoy them as characters. They have, I don't know, they just have something special about them. And the family, Andrew and Abby, the father and the stepmother, are painted in a very dark way, where they just don't bring any good to the world. So again, that's good storytelling. I don't know if that's truly how it was, but it sort of aligned with what the tour guide was talking about. So I have a feeling that that's possibly the dynamic that they all lived in. So I don't know. And just one other point that I forgot to make, is that all throughout the house, there were moments where I felt like these tingles, these chills, like up and down my entire body. And I don't feel like that often. It sort of felt like ASMR. It was a pleasant sensation, but it was different. It felt a little more chaotic, I guess. And it was, like I said, full body, and it came out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't some type of, like, relaxing stimulus that triggered it, feels it, and that she's witnessed many people pass out from it. Which is crazy. I can't imagine that. Luckily, it was nothing like that. Like I said, it was weird. I didn't feel scared. And generally, to be fair, these types of things intrigue me and they excite me. I love learning about stuff like this, and I just generally don't get terribly frightened. I don't know, I just didn't feel anything evil in there. I definitely felt something, but I didn't feel like anything was coming after me, that's for sure. So, I don't know what's going on in that house. It's intriguing, that's all I can say. It's intriguing. I don't know, you'll have to just go and check it out for yourself. I also watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved episode where they go and stay a night at the Borden house. And I remember it being really good, but I don't remember the specifics. So maybe check that out if you want a shorter sort of view of this story without watching an actual movie or documentary. It's on Netflix, BuzzFeed Unsolved, and you just have to find the Lizzie Borden episode where they stay the night in the bed and breakfast. So yeah, that kind of covers it. I know I'm a little bit all over the place just because there's so much to go into, and I just want to give the top level, and I'm doing it all from my memory. A problem that I find I have is no matter how much I truly prepare for a video, it still comes out quite spontaneous. I just don't like, I do it when I have to, but I don't like writing down a lot of information and having to read from it, because I like to be natural and organic and off the cuff with you guys. I think that's more relaxing, because if I'm trying to nail everything in a perfect way, it feels stiff and it feels like I'm messing up, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel as authentic to me either. So that may have been a jumbled up kind of story time of my experience, but hopefully you get the gist of it. It was a lot of fun though, and I recommend it if you're ever in the area, this very random town of Massachusetts where there's really nothing else to do, but I digress. So yes, I had to share that today. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up, but it's almost Halloween. Today is October 28th. Normally I put videos out on Mondays, but I didn't have time this past Monday, and plus I felt this should be a little closer to actual Halloween. But yeah, I also have, if you're still with me here, I have a few Halloween decor items that I will make some fun triggery noises with as I wrap this up. Yes, this is my favorite one. Okay, I wanted to show these off during the video, but I can't focus on multiple things at a time. So I knew that if I started pulling this stuff out, I would lose my train of thought instantly. I just can't. So now that I'm just speaking casually, you can enjoy. I love this sound. Gosh, it's heaven on earth. I could listen to this all day. Let me know what you know of the Lizzie Borden story, if anything, and if you think she did it, or if you think she's innocent, or guilty, involved or not involved, justified, or crazy, and deserves to be locked up forever. I think you can have numerous opinions, and they're all fair. It's making me so relaxed. And let me know if you have any Halloween plans coming up. What you are doing, if anything. Obviously, we are still in the midst of a global pandemic. So I know we're limited in what we can do. But I've been trying to find creative ways to stay safe and have fun. Let me know if you're dressing up, even if just to take a few photos and then to get into your pajamas. I'm going to dress up as Chanel Oberlin from Scream Queens, which is a TV show. I don't remember the provider, the network. I think it was on Fox. But I watch it on Hulu. Chanel Oberlin is played by Emma Roberts. She's like the worst. But I love her also. She's very witty, but she's also a big B word, if you know what I mean. I just thought she would be a fun character to play, something different. And I love the show Scream Queens. I highly recommend it. It is like it's classified as a horror comedy, but I don't think it's scary. There's a little bit of gore. It was made by Ryan Murphy, the same guy who did American Horror Story. But it's definitely not as creepy scary as American Horror Story. But there's creepy elements. Jamie Lee Curtis is also in it, an icon. And it's funny. It's really funny. So that's what I'm watching. Let's get another object from my Halloween bag. Shimmery pumpkin. I keep having to fix this. I actually probably don't, but I'm not used to wearing things like this on my head. But I thought it was cute for this video. I also want to address a comment I received last week. I never, ever address comments, especially. Wait, that came out so wrong. I didn't finish the sentence. I never address comments that are negative, is what I meant to say. Let alone give them any kind of attention like this. But I feel like it's an important thing I want to say. And the comment, which I've removed, because I just don't like to have weird negative energy. Not so much for me, because if people are scrolling through, I don't want anyone to see nasty comments and I don't know, I feel like it tarnishes the experience. I don't know. Anyway, I received a comment about how I need Jesus Christ in my life, and that the Bible is the only way to heaven, and that Halloween is evil, witchcraft is evil. And I've heard that before, and naturally I've been making a lot of Halloween videos, so bound to get a comment or two like that, you know. But I just want to share that, to me, Halloween and anything surrounding Halloween is actually like a really beautiful, wonderful thing. I don't perceive it as something that's evil at all. And I guess it depends on how you participate in the holiday or what you believe about it. I mean, it all comes down to belief, I guess, right? But I really think it's a time that can be incredibly pleasant, and I don't know. It's just, it makes me kind of sad when people see it in such a negative way, because it doesn't have to be that way at all. Like when you think of Halloween as we know it, is really just a commercialized holiday, right? It's a way to spend money, buy candy, dress up. I love it. It's fun, right? But it's a little devoid of meaning, I suppose. But Halloween is generally derived from Samhain, which is the pagan holiday or Wiccan holiday for Halloween. And there's still a lot I don't know about it. It's just one of those rabbit holes I found myself in one day, you know. And I myself am not a religious person. I've just never really been. Not dragging anybody that finds value in religion, but I wasn't raised with it, so I never pursued it. But Samhain, the traditional Halloween, what I know of it is it's beautiful. It's a harvest holiday where people share gratitude for the recent harvest, for their fruits and vegetables. It's a time to shed the old and bring in the new. It's considered a new year. And what we all know of Halloween is that there are elements of death. But death can be metaphorical. It doesn't necessarily mean a person has died. It can. But it can also mean the death of a part of you that no longer serves you. It could mean loss that is beneficial in the long run. Right? So we're getting rid of old habits. And we're bringing in new positive energy that can help us grow. And if you take death literally, traditionally, it means paying homage to your ancestors, connecting with loved ones that are no longer with you, spending time thinking of them, feeling gratitude for their memories and your experiences with them. In my opinion, that's the farthest thing from evil. But again, I guess it's up to your interpretation and your belief system and the parts of it that you cling on to. There's probably a lot I don't know. But what I cling on to is this element of nature and the environment, being grateful for the crops, for really the universe and everything that it affords us. Feeling connected to your loved ones, feeling gratitude for them, and this beautiful metaphor of growth and death and rebirth, and I don't know, I love it. I just love it. So when I see comments like that, where they think it's evil and terrible, I don't know, I just don't see it that way. And I hope that none of my videos come off in that way either, where I'm trying to promote something that's dangerous or hurtful or anything like that. It's all innocent to me, but everybody's different. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat. I don't want to be too loud. My nails are so long at this point, so any kind of like nail thing feels, I don't want it to be too aggressive on the mic. I'll just do this maybe. I don't know. I can scratch this guy. anyways, I'm excited for Halloween. I think it's gonna be quaint and quiet and small because of everything going on. But I'm still excited for it. I'm gonna dress up for fun because I can. I'm gonna make a really nice meal with lots of fruits and veggies. And I'm just gonna enjoy it. We'll see. I don't know. Let me know what you guys are doing. That pretty much covers it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed this long 5-week series of spooky videos. I'll have more next year. And, oh my gosh, I just got glitter all over me from that thing. Oh well. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Like I said, I have some exciting videos coming up. I guess I can let you in on a secret. If you've been watching up until this point, you deserve to know for sticking around. But the next video I put out is going to be a cup telling you a secret story time. Really excited about it because I've never made one of those before. And I don't know, I just think it will be cool. It was requested. So, and I've seen some other ASMR artists do it. But I'm intrigued. I think it's going to be good. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more content from me. And let me know what else you want to see down below. And I hope you guys have a very happy, healthy, safe Halloween. Or if you don't celebrate Halloween, fall season leading into winter season.